Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Catalyst podcast. I'm Leilani, your host, and today we are joined with one of my favorite humans in the whole entire world, Josette LeBlanc. Josette is the founder of Intuition Immersion School and the host of the Legacies of Light podcast. With her keen understanding of learning psychology and insight into intuition development, Josette supports lightworkers from around the world in remembering their soul purpose. Many of you may remember Josette from the many a time she's been on the show. And also today is a very special episode because it's something that we've been kind of tossing back and forth for a while. We've been wanting to bring elements of pop culture into these conversations that we have because we have these conversations in private. We talk about spiritual parallels in books and movies and shows. And today we are bringing it public for your enjoyment and consumption. We are talking about the movie Interstellar today, which is one of our favorite movies. And we're going to talk about several of the scenes and unpack them from a spiritual perspective, and also just talk about some of the wisdom that we personally have gleaned by witnessing this beautiful, beautiful movie, this beautiful creation. And so I encourage you, if you have the chance, to go to the YouTube channel so that you can see we inserted clips of the movie into the episode. I would love for you to kind of get the full experience of this episode. And for now, I am just so excited to bring on Josette LeBlanc onto my podcast, onto the stage, so that we can have a wonderful conversation about the movie Interstellar. Oh, Josette, welcome back to the podcast. You have been the most regular guest. I've had you on more than anybody.
It's an honor. I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for hosting this space and allowing me in it. So grateful.
Allowing you. Gosh, thank you for being here. Josette's my bestie. Many of you have heard the story, but she and I connected literally on Instagram through a hashtag. Josette showed up in my, I don't know if it was my explore page or if you just showed up on my feed as a hashtag, but I felt like I feel like I was like drawn in. If we're going to start with the space analogies, I was just like, and yeah. And then like the rest is fucking history. Josette did some energy work with me. My gifts blew open and she hasn't gotten rid of me since. So but thanks for being here.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago, right?
I mean, it was 4 years and a month ago when you did the energy work for me, which is nuts.
Yeah. It's the one winning point for the internet. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Instagram. Thanks. Thanks, internet. I mean, we love the internet.
Oh,
so which kind of is a great segue into like why we're here. Yeah. We're unpacking the movie Interstellar. It's the first time we've done anything like this publicly, because we do shit like this privately all the time. We're constantly unpacking pop culture and like, did you see that sign and that message and that synchronicity? And so we just were like, you know what? We are going to bestow this audience with our private musings. And we're going to just do our best because we're not, we're just a couple of spiritual gals just making our way. And we're going to do it.
Welcome to the private chats of Josette and Leilani. This is where we go.
Welcome to our private chatter. Yes. Don't listen while you're driving. I'm kidding. Okay. So Josette, first and foremost, we have to start with, who are you? What is your big work in the world? And how do you source from your intuition to do that work? And we haven't heard from you in like 2 years. So
yeah, well, things have changed in 2 years. So what's my big work? It's shifted. My energy work has shifted into not only working with one-on-one clients and doing like DNA activation work is what I call it. And working with the Akashic records with one-on-one clients, but it's moved into working with groups, doing energy work with groups, and then expanding that into helping the people in my program. My main program right now is called Discern, and that is part of an online school that I created called Intuition Immersion School. And so in Discern, what we do is we combine group energy work with helping the people in the program, light workers, connect more deeply to their intuition. So we got self-paced classes, group work, and then I also combine that with my one-on-one work. So it's me bringing in everything that I love, teaching about self-knowledge, intuition, energetic resonance, energetic alignment, and we do it as a community. And yeah, 2 years ago, it was all focused on one-on-one work. And now I got a year ago, I guess it was 2023, I started Intuition Immersion School. And at the beginning of 2022, I started Discern. And so it's an experiment, and it's going well. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be able to take these concepts that are so intangible and put it into a tangible space to have people to understand and work with that together.
I remember when you first were contemplating, which has happened with us so many times, where we're just reflecting, unpacking, we're just processing out loud. And you said, I know eventually I'm going, and it felt so far out how you were speaking. I want to have my own school. I want to have my own intuition development school where, people can come and learn. And I was just like, why does that feel so far out? Why? You could literally, I could buy a domain for you today and you could create your website. And you did. I remember it was 2 weeks later or something. You're like, I did it. And I'm just like, this is our life. Seriously, it's amazing. And the work that you're doing is amazing. I just got done with your Lionsgate portal container, and now we're entering the Eclipse container and the sense of community. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm just so grateful you're doing this work. And I'm just going to say, it's not my work. I'm not the one to cultivate the community. It's not my big work. So I'm always so relieved when I can just be like, oh, you need to know, Josette, you need to go do this, go be in this community. Oh, you're looking for people. Here's your people. And it's just a gift. So thank you.
Yes. And thank you for sending them over, and just your presence in our community is just so powerful. And thank you for being part of it.
And I'm going to be faculty soon.
This is the next upgrade.
I guess we're just marketing your offers. Yeah. But I mean, it's exciting. I love what you're creating, and I thank you for it.
Yes, thank you for letting me share it. Yeah.
Okay, so we are doing a deep dive into the movie Interstellar. Again, Josette and we do a lot of pop culture unpacking, looking at spiritual parallels, and we are like, you know what? We are going to bestow these listeners with our inner chatter. And here we go. We are going to talk about 4 different scenes. For those who are familiar with the movie, we'll be talking about 4 scenes throughout the movie. We'll describe it a little bit, and then we're going to talk to you a bit about the parallels that we see. And the reason why this matters is because metaphor is such a potent way for us to begin to understand our own gifting, to begin to decipher messages, to understand our path. There's so many parallels in basically creations, like movies, like videos and books. And if we take the time to really sit with some of these metaphors, we can begin to understand ourselves more.
Yeah. And Interstellar is so top of the charts when it comes to understanding. It's just all the levels, the brilliance, the intelligence, the care that went into this movie. If you watch this and listen to this episode, you will have an incredible understanding of why you're here on Earth.
Oh my gosh.
That's all
I got goosebumps. It's so potent. And there are a couple of terms I just want to level set with before we dive in. So Josette and I both have different roles in the ways that we identify and how we practice our magic and our medicine. And Josette, I'll let you describe what it means to be a grid worker. I identify as a portal keeper or portal guardian or portal purifier, a portal worker, portal interactor. And
Mhm.
so do you want to start by explaining your role in your magic, and I'll explain mine. And then that is kind of the frame through which we will approach this movie.
Sure, yeah. So this was not something that I knew about myself. I just discovered this maybe 2 years ago. I've been doing energy work since 2020, the energy work again that I do is called DNA activation. And through my work, I realized that, I was working with individuals in different parts of the world. And every time I worked with them and stayed in contact with them, I would notice certain things would shift in their life and the way they interacted with others. So, for example, with Leilani, she became a shaman and does energy work and works with multiple people. And so I could see her energy spreading to so many people, anyone she touched. And I started getting the sense that my work was not only about working and helping heal one person, it was about that person healing and that energy spreading out. Then I started seeing the grander picture of this. And I've always felt this inside me, that my work is to spread light, helping people. And when you help one person, that person helps others, right? We call it the ripple effect. But what I could see was that on a more profound level, or another layer, is that once that physical and spiritual energy is activated, that it connects that person's energy to what I call a grid. And others speak of this. You can look at grid worker. And what that means, I can imagine that person's energy then gets connected to the grid, it spreads out, and then it makes the grid healthier. Okay, so that sounds vague, I know, but imagine if you've ever seen sacred geometry, the flower of life or the seed of life. Okay, and imagine that superimposed on top of the earth, like creating a circle, and you can see all the lines connected. That is what I see. And the importance of that is that once the lines are healthy, the earth is healthy, humanity is healthy. And at this moment, what's happening is those lines are not connected. They're not healthy. There's not an energetic resonance on earth. And so grid workers are here to activate the grid so that earth is able to transcend or move into new earth, which it is now, right? So that is grid work. And that is, once you do this, you start knowing there are signs of how grid work is happening, like synchronicities, things start falling into place. There's a lot to it. So yeah, now we've set the tone about what is grid work. I will probably say, okay, this is a sign of grid work as we talk about Interstellar.
The metaphor that has always supported me with because I've known you for 4+ years at this point, and you'd always talk about grid working, and it was always, it's 5:55 here, by the way. It was always so frustrating to me because I can always understand the concepts that you describe. Like there's never been a time where I'm like, I just have no idea what you're talking about, except when it came to grid work, because that's not my medicine. It's not my magic. But what helped me, so those portal keepers and earth angels who are just like, what does that mean? What helped me understand this is understanding the mycelium network that is happening underneath. So anyone that's familiar or has seen the documentary Fantastic Fungi, you understand that mycelium, they are all underneath the ground that we are walking on. It's this really intricate woven kind of grid that is happening beneath the earth, and it is resourcing different plants and trees, and it's connecting, and it's actually communicating messages through this network. It is deeply intricate and brilliant, and it's its own entity, right? And so that's what helped me understand grid work is like there's this system, this network that's happening that that grid workers are especially attuned to in creating the shifts and ensuring that the lines are clean and clear and that we're communicating, they're connected. So that helped me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So you're all individual mushrooms just popping up and like, I mean,
Just
yeah,
doing our
that's,
best.
yeah. Like, and then when we're like, when the person is activated in their highest purpose or yeah, their highest purpose and they're aligned with what they came here to on earth to do, that mycelium network just expands and then it finds another mushroom pops up, right? So, I found Leilani, we found each other. We're popped up. I'm in Korea, she's in Seattle or wherever wherever she is in the world. And then that keeps spreading. And it's like, this is the metaphor, but also it is real. We are doing good work, Yeah.
And thank goodness for that. Thank God for our grid workers, because we would be lost without you. And I think that's a good segue into portal work. So
Yes, I want to know.
the portals and the grids, and this is again, because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around grid work. Sometimes it's difficult for me to communicate how it connects to portal work, but essentially a portal, we'll start with the definition of a portal. A portal is simply a pathway. It's a gateway. It's a door. It is the way to get from one place to another, right? And so a portal worker, a portal guardian, and I identify often as a portal guardian, is I am at the seams at all times. I exist at the seams, the space between all things, which is really chaotic. Portals are super chaotic, and I exist there. And I've been resisting my entire life, resisting chaos, because it's been scary. But little did I know I was resisting my gift, my power, the energy of who I am. And so a lot of my work has been about getting to know these portals. They are trying to communicate to me at all times. They want me to embody the energy of them so that I can do what I am meant to do within the portals, which is clear the energies. Like I support Josette sometimes in your activation work for your group work by clearing the portal so that you can do the work in the grid that you're meant to do. So this is just one way to describe what it is that I do. I purify the portals. A lot of times I'll enter any particular portal, and a lot of times when we are gathering, when we are when there's just energy flowing to one point, that is a portal. Like this is a portal. We are in the portal. And I just mentioned that before we started recording. Like this is the portal through which this conversation is to happen. We are surrounded by the portal that is supporting us right now. And it's really beautiful. And it's also like, that's a lot. That's a lot for us to do, for you to be so in tune with the earth and the grid and how everything is connected. And for me to be like, okay, there is an energy that is of this moment. This moment is calling for this portal because it is powerful and there are messages here. And that is where I exist. It's where my writing comes from. Those of you who have read my book was written in a very potent portal, multiple portals, where I was able to transcend time in the ways that I wrote. I was writing from portal energy, which meant that I was flowing in the ways that I was describing my life and my life events. And somehow it all makes sense, because when we see the divine order within the portal, that's where the sense making happens. Right. And so that's who we are. We're going to dive in unless there's anything else for you.
Well, I
Josette?
did want to say for me, what helped you understand me,
Yes,
what helped me
please.
understand you. So one thing that I've always admired of you is, about you, is your ability to navigate the chaos as you described there, right? Like, because portals, to me, what it looks like is like a very emotional, we could also say scary, like to me, like that's how I might interpret it, like scary in the sense of like, wow, can I handle that? Like, I've also heard you explain like grief as being a portal, grief as a portal, like specific emotions as portals for the individual. And so, yeah, that's what I noticed. Like I can see like harnessing like all these things, and this is where you're like, it's not, these are not bad things. They are just things that exist, and I am going to harness them to create this doorway so that we can walk through it, walk in and out, and get to where we need to go.
The message that's coming through is we must be brave enough to navigate the portals if we want a different experience. We can't be different as a collective, as an individual, as a people, as a community, as going from old Earth to new Earth was the most massive portal I've ever had to support and navigate, right? That collective ascension, that collective timeline shift. It wrecked me in many ways. And then I was made new on the other side. And it's required if we desire an experience that is higher vibrationally. It's required. I do a lot of work, I don't talk about it as much, but I used to do a lot of work called the veil. Like I would support people in moving through the veil, which was just another portal. It was like releasing their veil around their life and the ways that the facades have to come down. They had to move through this veil to like kind of remember who they are. And I hold space for that. I can hold space for that. And I can secure the portal in a way that makes that not so isolating and scary. So yeah. That's us. Thank you for saying that, friend. I admire you deeply. This is also like our Voxer. We just love on each other, and people are like, is there something going on? And there's not, I don't think. We don't know. Who knows? Okay. I love you. We're going to dive in. So Interstellar, such a good movie. So for those who haven't seen it, so basically Earth is in danger of not Earth, actually. The Earth is going to be fine, always fine,
Right.
as it always is. But humans are at risk of becoming extinct. And so NASA, who at this point is like a secret organization, creates this mission to go and find a new planet for Earthlings, for humans to inhabit. Yeah. And the beauty of this movie, just as an overarching concept, is the way that they play with space, dimensions, time, energies like love and relativity and gravity. And I am no physicist by any means. I am not one that, and it makes me, like, I was watching it again today, and it kind of made me feel a bit inadequate. Like, man, if I just knew the science of this stuff, like I'd be unstoppable. And Jesus, who's one of my main guides, is like, you already are. Like, you don't need the science. So don't worry about the science, even though it is scientifically incredibly accurate. And the places where it's like, we don't actually know what happens in a black hole, a wormhole. They do a lot of work in wormholes, black holes, which are just portals, people. Like, that's all that those are. But even though that's kind of a stretch to physicists, it still tracks to be scientifically accurate, right? Yeah. And so Cooper, who's the main character, he is Matthew McConaughey's character, and he leaves his family to go and basically find another planet to save the humans. Yeah. Is there anything I'm missing with
Nope. This is perfect.
This is it.
Yeah.
So this is the summary. And so we'll talk about a few scenes. We'll see how many scenes we can get through. But the first scene I'm thinking of starting with, Josette, is where Cooper is watching messages from his kids. And it spans 23 years because of the space-time continuum, the portal that they move through, the wormhole. What was actually only a couple of hours, I think, on the first planet that they went to visit to see if this was a sustainable planet to bring humanity. Because of the theory of relativity, it was only a couple of hours on this planet, but it ended up being 23 years. And I just got goosebumps already. So for those watching on the YouTube channel, we are going to insert a clip here so that you can see a little bit of what we're talking about. And for those listening, you can hear the action.
Right. So they arrive at the space station and 23 years has passed and they're able to see videos of their family speaking to them, but they can't send messages that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, the scene, and you just imagine, what does that do to a human to see basically their life pass by their eyes? Physically, we think we hear of after death that apparently you see your life, or at almost when you're about to die, you see your life pass by, and this is literally happening. You're seeing these characters see 23 years of videos from their children, and just the emotional breakdown that is experienced on all the levels, because the Cooper, talking about being brave to enter portals, he was brave enough to let his 10-year-old daughter and teenage son to save the earth. And that's not easy. And then he sees this. This is like not too long after he's left Earth. I think he sees this. I'm like chills too. And so just the profoundness. This sets the scene for the human heart, the gravity of the human heart, and the weight of love, and how much, the weight of it, and how much it's so important, and how sad it can be too, right? So the human condition, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, and so sad. Yeah.
And I think that so as I feel into this portal of this particular scene and what the energies that's swirling around is, I'm feeling into Cooper's grief, the grief of not being there for his kids. When I think about, so when I was 6 or 7, I was about 6 years old. I was playing on the playground at school, and all of a sudden I got a download. Like, imagine being a 6-year-old. And what Source, God, the universe showed me in that moment is that when we die, because I think I was thinking, like, did I do the right thing right then? Did I do it right or whatever? And Source showed me that when we die, we have this instantaneous download of every decision that we made on this timeline that we're on in this particular life, and the consequence of that, and how everything leads into everything else. And we also see what we didn't choose and how so it's all instantaneously downloaded, right? And so when I think about the moment that Cooper is experiencing, where he's got this grief, maybe regret, loss, just feeling like literally time slipped through his fingers, right? And yet, even in those 23 years, that was only, I think it's a couple of years later at that point, because they did go into a deep sleep and then come out. So it was a couple of years. Yeah. Right. But not that he experienced that, because it was, they were sleeping. And yet, so his experience was so brief. It was hours, right? Hours. And here he is having to watch, it just gutting. It's gutting, right? And
a grandchild born and lost.
Right. So when I think about, and there's a lot of theories, like Cooper actually dies before the movie even starts. And when I think about that notion of the only thing that really transcends all of what we just described that's happening physically, the things that transcend it are love. So love, his love for his children, his love, but also grief and the energies of our emotional experiences, which we have downloaded, the two of us, Josette and I, have downloaded that emotions are the portal, the pathway, the gateway to our sinking into our humanness, into understanding. Like it's the link between our spiritual connection, our spiritual experience, and our physical human connection and experience, right?
Right. Because that emotions create a choice. There's an opportunity for a choice once you feel, or
Yep.
an emotion, you have an opportunity to move in two directions or multiple directions.
Right.
And that's it. That's why it's a portal, because it's creating a choice.
Right.
And yeah.
And so often our behaviors based on our emotions are automatic. And that comes from our conditioning, our trauma responses. Like we so often are so automatic in our choice points, like the choices that we make based on our emotions. Well, I'm just angry, so I had to throw that. It's like, well, is that true? Right. And
Mhm.
we get to exist in these portals and we get to make different choices the more we become aware. It's always rooted in self-awareness. So my question to you, Josette, is where's the grid in this example? Like, what is the grid here? Where is
in
the
the
grid?
in this scene particularly.
Yeah.
Wow, well, it's interesting. I mean, so if love is the portal, grief is the portal, I mean, the choice that he makes after,
Mm,
it's where does he go from there, right?
yeah.
Where and I think the better scene to move on, it would be
Yeah.
the scene about love.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, because
So
this is a better, I can see the grid like there.
yeah.
Yeah,
So let's do it. So Brand, who's played by Anne Hathaway, she is advocating to visit the planet where her love has his name is Edmonds.
yeah,
They're not supposed to fall in love, but they fell in love, and he was the one that went on an exploratory original mission in the Lazarus missions, which we also didn't talk about the Lazarus like connection.
yeah.
But Edmonds is her love. And she's like, I think we should go to Edmonds' planet, even though Dr. Mann's planet, there was a transmission coming from Dr. Mann. And it on the surface, if we look at simply the 3D, Dr. Mann is the right move. And yet her everything in her spirit of love and her intuition was telling her that Edmonds' planet was the right planet. And so we'll show a clip of this interaction. Having watched that, having witnessed that, you please do let us know, Josette, like where is the grid in this example?
Okay, so this question, the quote that she said, and you heard it, I'm going to catch it. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. Maybe we should trust that even if we can't understand it yet. We love people who have died. What's the social utility in that?
Mm.
Right? So love is the portal. At this point, they make a choice to go to either Edmund's planet or to Man's planet. And they've made the choice. So the portal was there, the choice point was there. They made the choice, and they decided to go against love.
Against intuition, against the divine feminine.
Yes, again, it was so clear. She is all theory. This is who she is. She is saying theory does not work here anymore, right? Love is the theory. Love is the ultimate theory. And they went against it, and it went downhill.
Yeah.
It went downhill.
It was
Once they
catastrophic.
Catastrophic. And I mean, I feel like I'm rolling into scene to scene as I'm seeing the grid, but like,
Beautiful.
because it went downhill, where did it start going back uphill? When they were like trying to catch a man in his betrayal, and the synchronicity that happened as a result of them getting back on track, getting
Yep.
back on the grid, right? Getting the docking scene. I have chills. The docking scene is so profound. From that, everything cascades into good moves, right? Good actions, or appropriate actions, aligned actions, aligned actions. That is grid work, grid activity. So the portal of love was open. The choice against love was made. Downhill decline. Once the choice of love was made again, which all the divine orchestration that happened leads to the end of the movie. And this is what our life can be like. Our life, when we make a choice that is aligned with love, the divine orchestration that comes forward is mind-blowing, right? This is why you see so many people online. Oh, I saw angel number, whatever. That is not, it can be, we can make it so surface and we can make it feel so icky and not important. But the truth is, it is important. The universe is communicating with us all the time. It wants to orchestrate with us. And we are often just saying, no, that's not logically good.
Yeah.
And this is what happened with Cooper. He made, the logic was there.
The logic, the rationale, the 3D, the structures that had gotten them there, he was using as a crutch at that point.
And why? Because he was scared. And this is it, right? Love and fear, the two main guides of this world, the two major choice points, the two love and fear. He wanted to see his family.
Yeah, which is understandable.
He had just seen 23 years of their lives pass by.
And again, that's the grid too, is like showing the connections between those moments, right?
Yeah. So yeah.
And I just got so emotional as you were talking about the energy of love. We have just overcomplicated our spiritual experience so much with vernacular and I mean, and not to say it is very complex. We are simply 3D beings with incredibly dense experiences and bodies trying to understand the mysteries of the fucking universe, right?
We're so limited.
We're so limited. So the fact that we try to explain it makes a lot of sense, but we have literally just kind of fucked our way into the a hole of just complexity, right? Which is another portal in and of itself, right? And so when you're describing it's just love, it's quite literally the highest, and I'm getting emotional. It's the highest vibrational experience that we can be a part of. It is the most divine portal. I have been in the portal of love. And when I say love, I mean divine love. I was transported into a vision where I got to be in that portal with Source. There is no fucking fear in that portal. It's not even the only reason I could recognize its absence was because it was such a visceral part of my experience at that point. My anxiety was debilitating. And so when I got into this portal of love, I was like, I write about it in my book. I was like, there's no anxiety or fear here. And so when we talk about what does it actually mean to walk our divine path? What does it mean to follow the breadcrumbs and the synchronicities and go from grid point to grid point or portal to portal? If we allow love to be the way that we experience our path, that's it. That's all we have to do. And it sounds like so simple because it truly is. When I met you, Josette, I chose to start loving myself. And what happened from that, I know it makes me emotional. What happened from that point is that everything fell away for me. And all that was left was me looking at God, source, universe, and saying, now what? Literally everything fell away. Everything in my life that I thought I cared about up until that point just changed, evolved, transmuted. It looked different or just completely fell away. And I was left kind of metaphorically naked, standing in my life and looking to God because all I knew was how to love the source in that moment. And this is it. And it's so hard. Like Brand trying to advocate for Edmund's planet, she probably felt like, how am I ever going to explain this? It is simply a part of what I know to be true.
Yeah.
And it's hard to walk that path. And yet that is what we are called to do every single day. You and I have been living this path for years.
And it's hard because we live in a world that doesn't function on that. If we lived in a world where more people understood that, we wouldn't have to explain ourselves, right? We wouldn't be scared to make the moves that you made, to let the things that fell away in your life. We wouldn't be so scared because we'd know that it would be okay, right? Okay, I'm going to lose this person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lose this job. I'm going to lose this security.
Yeah.
Like,
we would have embraced the temporary nature of what it means to be in a 3D vessel. It's so temporary. It's difficult for us to embrace that, because what does that mean? It means that we have to move into the unknown. What's the unknown? That's the divine feminine. Yeah.
Yeah. We just have to trust. It's all about just trusting that we're safe. And so if you don't have that sense of safety, right, it's going to be hard to trust. But we have to look to other places for safety. And that safety is in this divine love. And you don't find that in another person. You don't find that. I mean, they're definitely, they're hints. Yeah. Like my son, I don't think I could be doing this work without having him in my life. There's no way. He was the portal.
I know.
Yeah.
That was when it all changed for me, for sure.
Yeah. So,
we started talking about the docking scene. So let's show the clip. Just a bit of background before we show it, because I'm not sure if it's going to really convey on the audio. So if you are listening to this on a podcast audio, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and just come to this moment so that you can watch this scene, because it is, and the last scene that we'll cover also, it might not come through in the audio, and yet there's so much richness in this. And essentially what happened is they did go to man's planet, the one where logically it would made the most sense, and man had betrayed everybody, gave the wrong information, uploaded the wrong information so that they would come and rescue him. So he basically sacrificed an entire human species for his own personal survival. And so the docking scene is him trying to escape and basically leave all of the rest of them behind to get back to the planet Earth. For what? I don't even know if he thought past that point, but he was essentially abandoning his mission and the human species, the survival of the human species, in order to survive. So with that background, take a look at the clip.
So man, ultimately his fear. So the choice point, he decided to follow his fear. And ultimately this is why he dies, right? And in this moment, this is where we enter the power of love again, I believe. In this, and this is, you see elements of the power of self-trust and the power of love. Because in that moment, Cooper sees, I need to save the space station. And it's so fascinating because even the AI, TARS, and the robots they're like, I don't think we can do this, or I don't, right?
Yeah. Who are kind of like the perfect embodiment of divine masculine, are TARS and
the other one.
Case and TARS are the divine masculine, and they're such a healthy divine masculine, right?
Yeah. They're so supportive. They're just like, okay, we can do this. This is doing all the technical things and really, and at one point, you hear it in the scene where he's like, if I pass out, you got to take over, because he's just like, he's got to get this docked, and he's doing these incredible maneuvers, like millisecond moves. And I've watched a lot of docking scenes. I'm a big Star Trek fan. The
Nothing
brilliance
compares.
the brilliance of the execution of this scene from a technical level, but from a spiritual level, that it aligned, and like the symbology of alignment, and it clicked on, and that moment everything else happens next, and all the important, like like light starts to come in, the light starts to come into the experience, right?
And it had to be from Cooper essentially trusting his divine feminine, because he was trusting his intuition, his instincts, his love for his family, for the planet, the human species. He stepped up in that moment to essentially say, we're doing this, even though all of the logic and rationale and the physics were saying otherwise. So he couldn't have saved that moment. He couldn't have been in divine alignment without trusting his own intuition.
There was no room for doubt at all.
And there was not a moment of doubt.
Not at all. None. Like brilliance, just everything. It's absolutely divine orchestration. Absolutely. So beautiful.
I watched this as I was prepping, because Josette and I were meant to record this much earlier, and I watched it a few weeks ago, and I was sobbing at this scene. I actually had a massive activation from watching this from the lens of like spirituality and the fact that there's so many things, the way that he trusted himself, just the self-trust. Like, we don't talk enough about the role that self-trust plays in walking our divine path. His self-trust, his ability to blow past what was physically, quote unquote, possible, what all of the 3D evidence was telling him about that moment, and saying, you know what, like, the energy of love is higher for me than any of those things.
Yeah.
It was a powerful portal that he was in. And I see him, you know, the energy of his character as like a weaver, like he was pulling in strand, like he was making these like full body goosebumps, these strategic calculations, like he was pulling in this strand and this strand and this strand, and then he brought it all together, and then it clicked. And he didn't do it alone. He had so much support. Just if we think about divine support, like there's no way he could have done. Yeah. And the divine support was kind of like embodied in the way that he was asking Tars for the calculations. Like, what do I need to do to match the spin? And they're like, he couldn't do it alone. And again, I have goosebumps because like he needed that kind of like omniscient presence to give him the information that he needed to successfully dock. It was incredible. It's an amazing scene.
Yeah. And when I'm hearing you say that, I'm hearing like the power of communication, right? Because this is something that we talk a lot about, communication. So we can be these entities in our homes in the forest, and we would like that sometimes, but we have to communicate our needs and our truths to others. Why? Yes, to help us align and find our path, but also because people want to help us, and we are here to work together, right?
People and spirit guides and ancestors and angels, like we're not limited to just one place of communication, not even one dimension of communication. Like, we are in the 3D, and yet we get information from the ether if we allow it to be received, if we allow ourselves to receive it.
Yeah, if we allow ourselves to receive it, we will get the answer. So the more you pay attention to that, the more you practice it, the more you're going to get those divine downloads, just like he did, you know?
So we'll transition into talking about the Tesseract, which is the final scene. It's kind of like the pinnacle. It's the peak of the movie where, you know, all of these things have aligned, and then he ends up giving Brand kind of one of those moments where he's sacrificing himself so that Brand can go and start the colony at Edmund's planet. So he exits and she's like, I thought you were coming with me, but they didn't have the resources for Cooper to come. So there's this like sacrificial moment where Cooper leaves the team, which I mean, just it's incredible. And so Brand is off to the planet to colonize, and so Cooper is kind of left in this isolation. He ends up going into the black hole. He's just like in his spacesuit. So he's in this really potent portal between all things at the seams. Like portal keepers are like, I understand that. Like he was just tumbling in this portal, and he finds himself in the Tesseract, which is the structure that, spoiler alert, the future humans had created for him to communicate with his daughter, to get messages from where he was in this kind of like nebulous portal to her to help save humanity. So we'll play the clip for that now.
And what's interesting is he's in there with Tars. You can hear Tars, and he's communicating. Again, you hear Tars like, what is this? I don't know.
And Tars is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
He's just the voice. He's the voice, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but again, getting help from Tars, give me the calculations, give me the Morse code, give me the code.
Yep.
And again, it's so fascinating. We were just talking about communication, because if we're not, it's so essential for us to be able to communicate messages in this this brings us back to trust too.
Yeah, he had to trust Tars.
He had to trust Tars. And then we have Murphy on the other side, who had to trust herself. She was trusting herself as a kid. She knew there was a messenger. I have chills again. She knew at 10 years old, she knew there was someone communicating with her. And that took her all the way to that moment where Cooper is starting to give the message on the watch. So her level of trust in love, herself, his knowledge that she would trust herself and him and love. And Tars is like, how do you know? How do you know she's gonna? And
he just like, knew, and he knew because the energy of love was the portal through which it was communicated.
Yeah.
So there was no way that it could fail, because it was just this like ultimate divine love. Yeah. That was the portal. That was the portal.
That's it. And this is why this movie is such a profound metaphor for your life. To you who is listening, this is what your life can be like. Trusting in love, right? It's just so incredibly brilliant that it was made in this way to help us understand. Because, and we can say, oh, well, nobody's in a Tesseract, we don't know if that's going to happen. But it is.
It's happening all around us.
It is happening now.
It might not be a Tesseract like the movie, but we are being communicated with. I am often communicating with my past self, my future self, past lives, other lives. I'm healing my ancestral lineage backwards and forwards. Like, how is that not a Tesseract? How is it not a portal?
Yes, it is. It is. And all, I just feel like telling this, like we're doing energy work, right? Doing energy work. And we have this idea of, we know we need to heal something, right? And we hope that we're going to heal it so that we can see a result on the other side. And I yesterday did a little bit of healing around the concept of money.
And not just for you and not just for me.
Yeah.
We did it for the collective.
For the collective. Leilani and I did this. And then I woke up this morning a little tired after doing the energy work. And this beautiful, sweet person, I was wondering, how is this going to look? What is this going to, this beautiful, sweet person just donated $2 to me, to my work, to my YouTube channel.
Which wasn't receiving money yet until just now, today.
That was the first time I've ever received any money for my YouTube channel. And, you know, a cynical person who is still in the portal of fear could just say, oh, it's just $2. Like, and what does that mean? How do you know? How can you how can you prove that it's connected to the energy work that you did, and da 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 da. And that the point is, you have, at that moment, when I saw that coming in, I had the choice to say, is that divine orchestration? Do I choose to believe that that is divine orchestration? When I choose to believe that it is divine orchestration, my energy starts to flow into that field of truth.
And it begins to, oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
I was going to say, and it begins to magnetize the other places where money is flowing to you.
Yes.
It like, I don't think that people really understand that about portal energy, is when you say yes, when you're courageous, when you're brave in those portals and you choose the energy of love and trust, self-trust, you then begin to magnetize, like you just start to pull in more experiences that match that frequency.
Yeah.
It is a constant like loop of like a constant feedback loop that happens time and time and time again if we allow ourselves to be brave, to trust ourselves, and to say yes to divine love, essentially.
Yeah. And we have story after story about this, you know, in the way, this was just the recent one about money. There's tons of others, right? So yeah, and it's not only our story. We witness these stories from our clients and the people in our lives, and this is how we know.
This is our life.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Interstellar.
Thank you, Interstellar. And so for those that are listening, you know, as we begin to wrap up, the message that I'm receiving for you, if you haven't already seen the movie, go see Interstellar. We spoiled all of it for you. So I hope that you went and watched it before you listened to this podcast episode. And yeah, like, go watch the movie. And I encourage you to begin to feel into your own energy around, okay, not to say that everyone's a portal worker or a grid worker, but I would venture a guess that you have some connection to either both of those forms of magic and medicine, or one of them, or that it is a pathway for you to understand yourself better. So I encourage you to really feel into your energy, and where there is resonance, follow that thread, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, follow the thread, ask questions, get curious. It is a magical world. It is.
So we always end with the bumper sticker, Josette. What is your bumper sticker? And I'll say mine too, right? What's your bumper sticker? What's the one piece of wisdom you'll paste all over the world if you could?
Yeah, that's interesting. Trust yourself. It's so it's so underrated, or not even known. Like, really, like, trust yourself. Think about what that means. Truly, like, there's nothing. It's the one thing that got me, like, this was the major aha of my life. It changed everything when I realized, oh, well, what does that mean to trust yourself? Ask yourself that question. What does that mean? How do you trust yourself?
My bumper sticker is adding to yours.
Okay.
Mine would be trust yourself and be brave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the trusting in yourself is like the first step. And then the courage is the action that you take, the aligned action that you take on your divine truth, your divine intuition, divine love. Like, just trust yourself and be brave. It only takes 30 seconds of courage to change your life. I don't remember. That's from a movie. I feel like it's not a good movie either, but it takes 30 seconds.
Tom Cruise or
I feel that too. I was feeling Tom Cruise. I don't know, like, in 30 seconds of courage to change your life. And as somebody who blew up her entire life in the matter of months, I can absolutely assure you that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for adding that. That is so important. The be brave part. Yeah. Very important.
That's our bumper sticker, our collaborative bumper sticker.
Yeah, and I feel like we're gonna have to like add some kind of like instructions on how to do that.
I know. I know it's gonna be the longest bump. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
trailing off the car, but like
Yeah.
asterisks.
Yes, right.
But yeah, so thank you again, Josette, so much for being here. We love you so much. Of course, we'll have you back on soon. I'm not even going to ask. And how can the people find you? Those who want to be a part of Intuition Immersion School, discern, how can they find you? And this will also be in the show notes.
Yes. So intuitionimmersionschool.com. I know it's a long name, but that's where you can find all the group work that I do. So my communities are there, and I have communities all throughout the year, separate small communities, which I call energy healing containers, and the larger community. I also have josetteleblanc.com, where is my my individual work, and also Instagram, YouTube, and Threads.
Threads.
Yeah, I love Threads.
Big ups to Threads. I love Threads.
Anyway, we'll have an episode about that.
We'll do its own episode because I like I mentioned, I connect with the energy of portals and whatnot. And I easily connect with the energy of organizations and creations. And I connect with the energy of Threads all the time. And it's just so nourishing. It's such a beautiful place right now. And we know it's controlled by billionaires, whatever, but the healing community that we have been with whom we've been connected on Threads has been unmatched, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a relief. It's a relief on many levels. Yeah. We absolutely need to do an episode on the portals of social media. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. That might be a hard one to get through, but thank you again so much for being here. I love you, Josette, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Ooh, okay. I loved that conversation so much. I'm so grateful that you were here to witness it. Josette and I have been through a process to bring this to you, and it was not always the easiest. We kind of had a time trying to align and figure out, okay, what's the structure and all of that. But I am so proud of this episode. I'm so proud of the ways that we approached the medicine that is this movie. And I mean, I don't know what more could be said. The energy of love and how it is woven throughout the movie, and then bringing our own experiences into it. It was such a joy to create. And I'm so grateful that you could be here for it. If you want to connect with Josette, I encourage you to go to the show notes and find all of her information there. If you'd like to connect with me, my information is in the show notes as well. But for now, be still, my friends, and live into your impact. I am so grateful you're here, and I'll talk with you soon.